Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong, and I am here to share one of the journals that I've finished lately and just haven't had the chance to get on video. I've been so busy lately. I have a couple of other journals, but I wanted to start with this one. I never thought that I would be really drawn to doing something with a lot of purple in it. I love the color purple. I wear purple. I have a beautiful purple scarf that I wear a lot. Then I have two others that are in different shades of sort of purple wine colors. But this journal evolved into something totally purple. I think you can see from the start of it, like this fabric underneath, there's not really purple in that. There's some silver, and you can see there was some purple in this blue fabric. This totally evolved into a journal about women and the strength of women. And again, this journal it evolved into what it wanted to be, and I think that happens a lot. So I will try to be brief. I'm calling this journal Little Miss Purple because there is so much purple. This tie is attached to the journal, so it stays in place. I've put some stitching here and in the back to make sure that it doesn't come off, and it's glued in a few spots. You can see there's a charm here on the front that looks like a stag. I did that very much on purpose because that is typically a very masculine symbol associated with male dominance, and this is all about the strength of women. So I thought I would be bold enough to go ahead and put a stag on the front. You can see there's some cog work here, and I did that because throughout history women have been thought of as being the weaker of the two sexes, and sometimes even being called addled, and they weren't considered very intelligent throughout times in history. The word hysterical came from women and their anatomy, and I put this on here to show that women can think, and women do think, and women are very smart. You can see the wheels turning, and that is a saying for someone thinking that the wheels are turning. So getting inside, there is a lot of trim in here. There's a lot of embellishing. I started out with some pages from a book about women and how women have played a certain role throughout history, in America's history. I don't have to explain a lot here. You can just see a lot of different fabrics. There's a lot of blue, a lot of purple. I love this card. This came from a little catalog that I get from Magnolia Pearl. Again, if you've never seen their clothes, they have wonderful clothing. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous website, and it says, "Shine like the whole universe is yours." So I put her in there. I love this fabric. It was already stamped with this number 1213 and then a patent number. There's my stamp, and as this journal evolved, it began to take on little bits of yellow. That's another thing that just sort of happened. I believe it's because there was a touch of yellow in this fabric, and yellow is such a nice contrast to purple, it just kind of found its way into the journal. There's a lot of my hand-dyed paper in here. It's tea stained and then dyed while it's still wet. You can see the Paris sticker. There are a lot of beautiful images in here. There's a little Tim Holtz die cut, little ballerina, and you can see the sayings across the tops of some of these, sugar and spice. And there is some of the text intact. The college maiden, her head is laden with a knowledge not consisting all of Greek. She sings a solo, plays well at polo, for football and fencing honors now she seeks. Anyway, it goes on. So there are some little tidbits of information throughout this book that were native to the pages. A journal is so much more than just a place to write. So all of this trim, there's some here. There was some put on this card. That came from a beautiful long scarf that I purchased recently to go into my bohemian fabric stash. And the fabric on this scarf it had some age to it, but just really pretty. I love that silver color. And again, you can see stamping. I incorporated a lot of these small pictures that I worked on recently and turned into a collage, and that's in my Etsy shop. A lot of those pictures were of women. There's just a little card here to write on. That, of course, is a very old old image. And then when you flip it over, you have part of the image from the fashion book that I have really enjoyed taking cards from. It was one of those flip little books where it has pieces that kind of stack on top of each other, and you can flip just parts of the page to change the outfit throughout the book. This was some trim that came off of a dress. You can see that there are beads on this part and two different types of trim that were woven together. I have a feeling it was some sort of party dress that somebody made, and I just bought some of the trim and it still had this attached to it. So there's more staining, old pages from a Sears and Roebuck catalog, more of the book pages. And here is the middle of the first signature. We have a very, very old image, and then in contrast to that, we have still an old image to us, about probably 80 years old, but that's from the 30s or the 40s, and I like the way she's looking at that. All sorts of trim on this page. And then we have another of the old pictures from the collage, the two ladies here, and little bits of lavender and purple on the page. I thought it was a really cool contrast to have this page of keys and rope, barbed wire, things that are typically masculine. Put it in with this book about beautiful ladies. So here is a stamp of a mermaid, and we know mermaids are kind of the quintessential images of beautiful, unobtainable women. So a mermaid definitely belonged in here. And touches of blue and purple. I've taken some stain and paint and touched up some of the little items throughout. There's a stamp of a bird cage. Think about many women being caged in the way that they're treated. It's a sad existence to feel like you can never really be yourself. And the gate is closed on this cage, but there's nothing in the cage. I took some staining and went through the foliage on the outside. There's another stamp that I love very much. There are little places to write. This is not what I would call a predominantly writing journal. This is really a keepsake book that is a theme, and it definitely has room to be added to. I could have continued working in this indefinitely by adding words, stamping, quotations. There are so many quotations about the color purple and about women, and you could just really fill this up with so many things. There are hours to go in this book, but I had to stop at some point and just let go of it. You can see a lot of the little tabs on the pages are different colors of blue or purple. This was just a piece of cotton that I was using for another purpose, and it got some staining on it, so I went ahead and stamped another favorite stamp, and I sewed it to a little sheer fabric bag. The bag is only paper clipped on. It's not attached permanently, so you can take that off. And this is sewn at the top and the bottom. You can still close the bag. Got room there to put things in, but I thought this was really pretty. I decided just to paper clip that to the page. And more staining, more beautiful pictures. There's the lady with a cigarette. I've stamped the word wanted down here. Women were not allowed to do certain things. They couldn't make up their mind about certain things throughout history, and if they did, they couldn't really talk about it. Sometimes they've not been allowed to have opinions. You can see that some of the little images, I've taken some watercolor and painted the garments or whatever, a pretty purple color. And another Sears and Roebuck page, more stamping. I love that very faint stamp. It just reminds me of a ghost. More beautiful images, a little bit of stamping. There's the rose. Women are sometimes referred to as roses, like pretty as a rose or pretty as a picture. I know people used to say my grandmother was pretty as a peach, and that's another saying. So again, just some purple painting. I love this. Again, part of a rose that I cut from some fabric to use as a tab. I did stamp a typewriter here because women also were put into certain jobs. It wasn't thought that they could do much else, and being an assistant to a man was a very proper thing for a woman to be, to type or be clerical and just be there to answer every beck and call. Another thing I noticed is this image here. It says 5-cent play. All of these ladies look like they are pretty tempting in their behavior perhaps, but I did put a ticket on that page since it says 5 cents play. More images, more purple, and more stamping. More images. You can see there's room to add so much more. So here's the center of the second signature. I love these old paintings. She had this beautiful hat on, so I just added that bright charm. There's another old picture in contrast. This one is very, very old. This one is very old. And this is one of the pieces of fabric from Sheila Gingrich, and I just sewed that right on top of this beautiful tablecloth that was pictured in the painting. And more stamping. There's an angel stamp. I have a question. Do you think angels are typically considered to be male or female? I know we have Michael and we have Gabriel. But when you think of your guardian angel, do you think of a woman or a man? There's some pretty cotton trim. More pages that are stained. I love this stained satin. And then just more images. There's an airplane. Looks like maybe wartime, and a lady on a telephone. There's another very faint stamp, another one of my favorites. And I put the Sears Roebuck pages in because that felt so much to me like a lady's place is in the home, ordering things for the home, carpets, curtains. There were things for men too, but I think a lot of it was geared towards women who wanted things for their houses. And of course there's the nurse. I think nurses are typically, that's considered to be a female profession, although that's changing some. And here we see angel wings. So again, in a lot of old pictures, angels are depicted as women. And I think it's a really beautiful image. There's another old photograph from the collage that's available in my Etsy shop. And then we have this beautiful pocket. That is some fabric on the top from Sheila, and underneath is some lace that I had in my collection. And this beautiful image I have in my collection. I don't know where I got it. I think it came from somewhere online as being part of the public domain, but I am not sure. I would not attempt to resell this image. I just don't know. Sometimes you find things and it's not real clear if they've been altered or if it already had that coloring in it, because some old postcards do have this lovely color. I just don't know. Anyway, that is a gorgeous, gorgeous image. Absolutely stunning. And if anybody knows where this came from, please tell me if you say, oh, I've seen that in this place or that place. Some of the old European cards are really gorgeous. They have so much more of a history than we do here as far as length of time. So more stamping, and sometimes I like to just lay a piece of eyelash trim in, something to add to the page but not really attach it. Sometimes I attach them. Sugar and spice, we all hear that about girls. Sugar and spice, everything nice. And of course there's a lady washing in a wash tub. It isn't fair the way the work of the human race is proportioned out and distributed. Look at the drudgery of washing clothes and cleaning house. It goes on and on. This is probably for an ad. And there's a vacuum sweeper ad. More dyed paper, more beautiful images. The Ziegfeld Follies, glorifying the American girl. That says out of control. And there's the vacuum cleaner. Millions use Perline. Use Perline and take the drudgery away from housework. Perline makes woman's work womanly and healthful and fit for her to do. All the washing, all the cleaning, and hundreds of other things besides are made easy with Perline. It shouldn't be assumed that women are not capable of doing things other than keeping house. So just more staining and beautiful papers. You can see there's room for doing a whole lot more in this. And I love this page. Again, an angel image. I made her gown a beautiful purple color. Look at the little girl in the basket. It looks like she has angel wings. Oh, what makes women lovely? Virtue, faith, and gentleness in suffering, and endurance through scorn or trial. These call beauty forth, give it the stamp celestial, and admit into sisterhood with angels. And of course, a man said that. Sir Nathaniel Brent. And I know I probably sound very, very anti-men. I'm completely not. I often say that Jason treats me like a princess. And that might sound kind of, that phrase might sound kind of chauvinistic, but I love the movie The Little Princess when she says every girl is a princess, and that's the way I feel. But when you treat a woman like a princess, you also treat them like they have a mind and like they're smart and capable. I think that's one of the best ways to a woman's heart. So here on this last page, I drew a little tree here. I was thinking about the tree of life, and I stenciled some leaves and then used some watercolor to put the branches in. This is just a little part of a calendar that I had stamped on. I was just doing some testing. It says September. My mother and my sister were both born in September. So that's a beautiful month to me. And I love the back here. The water, that came from a fairy painting. And then of course we needed a picture of the beautiful Madonna with the child. That's tied with a mixture of gold thread and some thread from burlap. I love that contrast. I think I love contrast in general. And there's one of the velvet leaves and more of this pom-pom trim. Just a lot of fun things in this journal. Lots of room still to work. And then on the back we can see more of these cogs. So that is the entire journal. Look how pretty that is. I've fallen in love with this one as well, and I've become more acquainted with the color purple. I hope you enjoyed this. Oh, and this big tassel on the side. It was shedding a little bit earlier, not too much, but maybe a little bit of glitter. And I don't think it was glitter as much as just some of the end pieces of fabric where I cut it. You can see it's got blue and purple. That bead is sort of iridescent. See a lot of colors in there. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.